Coming up on today's wrestling news, CM Punk's first WWE World title shot confirmed. TNA gets a new TV deal. Chris Jericho continues to ignore his critics, and a AEW original signs a brand new multi-year contract. I'm Michael Hamflett, he's Microphone, and this is the Christmas Eve news. And what an early Christmas present it is for fans of WWE, and especially fans of CM Punk. There was advertising last night in the Chicago market, specifically during Monday Night Raw, that CM Punk will get his first WWE World title match since returning to the company at the Survivor Series when he takes on Gunther this weekend, the 29th of December in Chicago, in a steel cage. And obviously huge match, a first time out in between CM Punk and Gunther, and something that's very much been speculated upon as a possible Survivor Series match initially, and then something that has been discussed amongst the slate of options for WWE going into WrestleMania season. But yes, it will take place in Chicago at the All-State Arena, an untelevised event, obviously a house show, but it's part, interestingly, of a CM Punk Imperium Christmas tour. He's working Ludwig Kaiser at Madison Square Garden on Boxing Day, December 26th, and then, yes, will appear against Gunther in a steel cage. Kind of a house show WWE tradition to have some of these big matches in steel cages. Obviously, potentially it protects somebody from taking a pinfall for the finish, but also is a spectacle for those in attendance, and I guess will be something that will be closely monitored by those of us very keen to see exactly what CM Punk and Gunther will look like when they're sort of squared off in there. Feels like an intergenerational dream match that WWE can make real since the Punker came back. It kind of like speaks to a busy time, the busiest maybe yet since Punk returned last November for the Survivor Series. Obviously the long injury layout kept him off television, at least as a wrestler, for several months. Pay-per-view appearances notwithstanding against Drew McIntyre. He also worked War Games alongside the Bloodline at Survivor Series, but in moving through Imperium and into Seth Rollins in the, as of right now, main event of the Netflix debut edition of Monday Night Raw on January the 6th, the Punker's diary is looking as full as it ever has done, and one can assume at least that he will be very much in the conversation for the Royal Rumble match, or indeed anything that gets him to do what he said he wanted to do recently on Raw, which is point at that sign and get what has been something he feels long owed to him, that WrestleMania main event. Keep it here, obviously, for all breaking CM Punk news and indeed WWE in general as we head on the road to Netflix on January 6th and indeed WrestleMania season. Happy holidays to all of you if you're watching today. Let us know in the comments what you're doing, but my holiday begins on that debut edition of Raw. And speaking of wrestling on television, big news coming out of TNA going into 2025. They have announced a new television deal in Canada. They're going to be airing on Sportsnet 360 beginning January the 2nd, 2025. That's, of course, just a day after the new deals kick in for AEW on Max and, of course, WWE on Netflix. So huge time for kind of the North American majors, and TNA are getting in on that as well. Nothing will change with their outlets in America, as their press release stated. TNA Impact will continue to air on Access TV and TNA Plus in the US, in addition to being distributed internationally on TNA Plus or other leading broadcast platforms. So wherever you are in the world other than Canada, your TNA viewing will stay the same. But the multi-year agreement with Sportsnet will air TNA Impact every Thursday between 8 and 10 p.m. nationally in Canada. It's been an up and down year for TNA. Indeed, the first year, 2024, that TNA got its initials back after Scott D'Amore's throaty, kind of like mine, impassioned return of the famous initials last year, only to then not be part of the company as they kind of refound their brand identity. Kind of controversy reigned at various points with Scott D'Amore's surprising exit. There's been some ups and downs. There's been some amazing shots of TNA's live events this year. You've seen the big crowds gathering. There has been a sense of momentum at points around TNA, but there's also been some questions raised over some of the booking. Some of the more controversial choices have included, not yet at least, making Joe Hendry the TNA Impact World Champion, though he will get a title shot going into the new year and obviously could feature prominently as TNA toasts the new deal in Canada. Of course, generating headlines not necessarily for all the right reasons of late in re-signing Tessa Blanchard. There have also been a number of TNA exits. There's been discussions of pay and things like that. But TNA will certainly hope that a deal in Canada will be part of more bigger things to come in 2025. And Santino Marella the on-screen authority figure within TNA, agrees as well. He tweeted, "Boom, this is huger than huge, and more importantly, I hope it serves as a precedent for the United States as well." So there is at least internal hope within TNA Wrestling that this could be the start of even more television exposure and opportunities for them, and indeed impact going into 2025. Let us know your thoughts on TNA if you're still a fan, if you've still been watching. How do you feel the first year of the return to the Total Non-Stop Action initials has gone? Are you hyped for this move to Canada? What sort of matches are you speculating on? And do you believe in Joe Hendry? Because we certainly all do. You might not believe in this next man, but at this point it seems as though he doesn't necessarily believe in you. Chris Jericho, certainly a controversial figure in All Elite Wrestling and indeed in wrestling in general over the last couple of years in particular, was speaking about the criticism that he's now seemingly very aware of and how he chooses to deal with it or not deal with that, as the case may be. He was speaking on the Gabby AF YouTube channel. And he said, and I just want to read his quote here, so it's not taken out of context. Quote, "I think that people have those types of opinions, but I know what's real and what's not real. I really can't worry about that. All I worry about is the fan base I have, which is massive, and bringing in new fans. People that hate you, there's nothing you can ever do, whatever." He went on to say a little bit more about the types of people he believes don't like him and how little he values them, despite having said quite a lot about them. And then he went on to continue to say, "If I felt that way, then I would do something about it." That's obviously about himself not liking his own work. "But I feel the opposite. I know what I feel. I know what's good. I know what's bad. Way more than any fan does. It's an opinion, but I know. I've been doing this 34 years all over the world. I know what I'm doing. I know if it's good and I know if it's bad. So I don't need anybody to tell me that. I never did." So quite a defiant clapback, I guess, to the criticism that maybe Chris Jericho hears, that he knows he receives. To be fair, my colleague here, Microphone, has nothing but good things to say about Chris Jericho regularly. I was just asking him before we came on air if he could name some of his favourite Chris Jericho matches of 2024, and he was happy to reply, weren't you, Mike? Oh, can't be quiet now. But no, so I guess we won't necessarily listen to that as well. Never taken a bump in my life, and why should he? But indeed, Chris Jericho certainly batting back a lot of the criticism that have been levied at him this year. He is, of course, the current Ring of Honor World Champion, having defeated Matt Cardona at Final Battle. He's worked across various programs in 2024 to mixed success, it must be said, as the FTW Champion in a long-running feud with Hook. There have been lots of criticisms levied, obviously, Chris Jericho's presence on television that sometimes feels like it might come at the expense of some of the other people on the AEW roster. Nobody is denying that Chris Jericho did some amazing things for AEW, was vital really in its early successes as its first world champion, as a recognised star, a pro wrestling megastar on what some people might have considered quite an upstart promotion at the time. But yes, he continues to be a very divisive figure in 2024. But by the sounds of it, he doesn't seem to worry too much about that criticism and clearly believes in what he is doing. It looks as if Chris Jericho's next program will be with Bandido, pending obviously Bandido's safe and healthy return. We did report yesterday, of course, that it appeared that he had suffered a concussion. That was Dave Meltzer's reporting following his return to Ring of Honor after those amazing vignettes that aired on Dynamite. Looked like it was going to be immediately to set up a program with Chris Jericho, possibly a world title change, but we await obviously news on Bandido's hopefully healthy return sooner rather than later. And in the meantime, I guess Chris Jericho will go on unabated. He is not daft, that man. He has obviously seen himself shared across social media over the weekend, cutting promos with the Boom Costco guys, because wherever there's heat to be found, Chris Jericho will get to it like a moth to a flame. Maybe he does know what he's doing after all. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below on if you believe Chris Jericho should be listening more to me, you, anybody, the fans of wrestling. Who knows? Is he still getting it right? Is he still, at his tender age at this point, still nailing his role? Let us know what you think. He remains a controversial figure, and will probably be that way going into 2025. But speaking of going into 2025, and indeed ending 2024 on a lovely note, somebody that is at this point anything but a controversial figure is Dustin Rhodes. And he went online to post that he has signed a multi-year new deal with AEW Wrestling. Of course, he's an AEW original, Dustin Rhodes. He came on right, obviously, as the company was forming in that early 2019 period. He was part of the incredible Double or Nothing 2019, having that instantly iconic bloodbath with his brother Cody Rhodes, going on to team with Cody and then, take on multiple roles within AEW, both as a wrestler and behind the scenes. And he put a long sort of message out to thank people, not least of all Tony Khan, for confirmation of his new deal. He said, quote, "Today I've signed a new multi-year contract with AEW. I want to thank my boss, Tony Khan, for every opportunity he has given me. Since coming here and being an original since inception, I have truly had the time of my life. Everybody knows my story, how much I've been through in all my years. I lost my passion, but I found it again here in AEW at the first Double or Nothing. Did not expect this one last ride to last as long as it has. What a run I have. I will finish my career at AEW as I feel it is home to me. I've never felt respected and wanted like I have here. This makes me want to do my very best for Tony and push myself harder than I ever have. I feel loved and wanted here. I love all of our roster deeply. I want to thank the fans for all of your support, thank the men and women in the locker rooms we have shared and created magic together, and thank Tony Khan for believing in me and relying on me in so many ways. I won't let you down. I love it here in AEW and can't wait to see where the next few years take me." He goes on to thank his fans, his family and all of his friends and everybody for the support, and I suppose we can push that right back and say thank you very much, Dustin Rhodes, not just for the last 5 years but for an incredible career. And it's just a nice story really to read at this time of year. Dustin Rhodes seems to be one of those people at this point that gets nothing but praise from the people he works with in the locker room. He's currently holding 2 titles in Ring of Honor. He's the World Tag Team and 6-man Tag Team Champion. So very much considered kind of a locker room leader across both of those rosters. So will presumably be as invaluable off screen as he still appears on. You know, there's still a banger in Dustin Rhodes. The times that he sort of gets to wrestle on Dynamite, he's incredible as a babyface, getting to put somebody over. Who doesn't love seeing good things happen to good people? And at this point, Dustin Rhodes and the life and the incredible journey and life that he's lived in wrestling very much classifies as good people. This as well will presumably end any speculation, contracts being what they are in wrestling especially, end any speculation that there will be any like long-term return to WWE. As many people speculated, obviously when Cody Rhodes went back in 2022, many thought that maybe his brother would follow back, but it seems not to be. He does sound indeed very happy in AEW, and indeed, why would you not want to be happy going into holiday season, which is what we are doing. Thank you very much, not just from me, but on behalf of all of the guys here at WhatCulture, for all of you tune into this year. This is going to be our last in-studio video of 2024. I'll be turning the lights off when I get out of here. There'll be everything coming back your way that you can expect starting January, I believe, January 2nd, 2025. We're going to be right there for the start of WWE on Netflix, that huge AEW New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom, then Wrestle Dynasty, then Raw on January the 6th. We go into NXT Eve on January the 7th. That's going to be following on from the last pay-per-view of AEW's Year World's End on December 28th. We'll be coming in hot with all the coverage and everything that you need, starting hot in 2025. But yes, as our 2024 comes to a close, please stay tuned to the channel if you're looking for that little escape in your holidays. Maybe you're going to be hiding in the toilet with a few biscuits when you just need a little bit of a breather from your family. There's going to be loads of stuff going out on the WhatCulture Wrestling channel and indeed on the podcast channel. Lots of Christmas content for you while we all take a little bit of a breather, get refreshed and get excited for 2025. It's looking awesome and we can't wait to spend it with you just like every other year. It's been an amazing year. Thank you so very much on behalf of all of us. Have a wonderful and safe, happy holidays if you celebrate. And if not, we'll see you in January because the content never sleeps. Tune into this video here. Try not to take this guy too seriously. And until next time, we will see you soon.